All right, let's dive into a story today that honestly sounds like something straight out of a movie. We are talking about a world record that doesn't just push the limits of what humans can do, it pretty much obliterates them. And it all comes down to this one number: 3. That's how many days a man supposedly stayed completely underwater, holding his breath. 3 full days. Yeah, that's the immediate question, isn't it? How on earth could anyone survive for 72 hours without coming up for air? Well, that's exactly what we're going to try and figure out here. So, to even begin to get our heads around this, we need to look at the event itself. Because this wasn't some guy in his backyard pool. Oh no, this was a huge public event designed to make history. This was the real deal. It was televised. You had Guinness World Records officials there watching every single second. They were there to make sure everything was legitimate, giving the whole thing a stamp of authenticity right from the get-go. But you know, an event like this needs a star. So who is the person at the heart of this mind-bending feat? Let's talk about the man they're calling the Belgian prodigy. Okay, so here's what we know. He's 23 years old, he's from Belgium, and his name is being kept private. His mission was simple but huge: break the world record for apnea. That's the technical term for holding your breath. And he did it in this specially built water tank that was locked from the outside. So we've got the man, we've got the mission. Now let's look at the timeline. Because this is where things go from just impressive to, well, frankly, unbelievable. The sheer amount of time is just staggering. And this just lays it all out. He gets in the tank, totally calm, and the timer starts. Hours go by, and boom, he's already smashed the existing world record. But he doesn't stop. He just keeps going. By the time day 3 rolls around, he's still under there, and people watching said he looked like he was in a deep meditative state. Now, this is where the story gets really, really weird. You'd think for something this dangerous, he'd be hooked up to all sorts of monitors, right? People checking his heart rate, his oxygen levels. Nope, nothing. We're told nobody was checking his vitals. The belief in his ability was so total, they just watched him. And this quote from people at the event kind of sums up that weird vibe. This shared belief that he could do it, and for some reason the fact that he was a good boy was part of the equation. It's a strange detail, for sure. I mean, come on, a claim this wild is obviously going to split people down the middle. So let's look at the two very different reactions this whole thing sparked. So in one corner, you've got a group of scientists basically saying, no way, impossible. From a biological standpoint, he had to have drowned. But in the other corner, you have the actual Guinness officials and a bigger chunk of the scientific community pushing back, saying, nope, we saw it, it's authentic. And then you've got the people who know him best. His family and friends were there the entire time, just watching. You can only imagine how anxious they were, but it was mixed with this incredible sense of pride and total support for what he was doing. And his mom, she gave this really unique perspective. Through tears of pride, she shared this super personal detail. But for her, it wasn't an embarrassing story. It was proof. It was an early sign that he was just different and maybe meant for something extraordinary like this. Okay, so let's just pause for a second. If this is real, if this actually happened, what in the world does that mean? How are experts even trying to explain something that seems to fly in the face of basic biology? Well, let's turn to Dr. Maria Jansen. She's a human physiology expert who was there watching, but when asked for a scientific explanation, she doesn't really give one. Instead, she describes it as something almost beyond our current science. She calls it nothing short of miraculous, like we've just seen a peek into a level of human potential we didn't even know existed. So ultimately, people are looking at this as way more than just a new record. They see it as proof of our incredible endurance, as a symbol of the power of the human spirit, and as a huge inspiration for anyone who's ever wondered just how far they can really push themselves. Which really leaves us with this one massive question. This isn't just about one guy holding his breath for a ridiculously long time. It's about whether everything we thought we knew about human limits is just wrong. If this really happened, has this one person changed the game for all of us?